What's up guys, Isaac Walton here for Hunting the River King, taking a look at the ELE Explorer action camera. Pretty exciting new action camera. ELE is more known for making phones. This is their first foray into the action camera market. Lucky enough to get my hands on it courtesy of GearBest. Just want to share my thoughts and a few sample footage shots from it with you. First impression I had was, wow, this camera is packaged much more nicely than your typical SJ4000 clone. Comes in a nice solid box like this, and boom, there we are. Also, plenty of accessories, we'll touch on that in a bit. One of the first things you'll notice with the ELE Explorer action camera is it basically looks like an old SJ4000 or a GoPro. And truth be told, it uses the same GoPro style mounts, which is awesome if you have a lot of the headsets, chest mounts, and other ones floating around. And the case itself is basically the same as the SJ4000. I've got an SJ4000 case right here, original case, and here's this case here. Buttons are a little bit bigger, but it actually does fit into both cases. Take a look at the form factor. It's virtually the same as the boxy GoPro classic SJ4000 look. They pretty much, here's the ELE action camera, here's the old SJ4000 Wi-Fi model. You'll notice on the back, the ELE has quite a bit more screen space. The SJ4000 has probably the smallest amount that you'll get. ELE is getting up toward the SJ7000 screen space, or the wonderful EKEN H9 screen space as well. Go ahead and fire up the ELE. You'll notice a awesome splash screen, dare to be explored. Looks a lot better than some of the sort of generic splash screens on the EKEN and SJ7000. Loading it up, you'll see a very nice clean menu, and this is something other reviewers have commented on. You've got your video, photos, slow-mo, I've got it 720p at 120 frames per second right now, and playback feature. There's also an app that you can connect to. Great design to the app as well, and your options. Now, just a word on the stats. This thing films up to 4K. However, the 4K feature isn't that great. It's only 15 frames per second, not really usable. It does film at 2.7K at 30 frames per second, so actually usable, which puts it ahead of the EKEN H9. Filming with the 1080p option, you can film at 60 frames per second, and then 720p can film at 120 frames per second, allowing it to do some pretty awesome slow motion, which is something that really sets it apart from other cameras as well. There's also a burst mode, there's a timed mode, a time-lapse mode, and then a camera delay mode as well. Angle of view is 170 degrees, compatible, or comparable, I should say, with GoPro. And like I mentioned earlier, the waterproof case that it comes with by default works with GoPro mounting accessories, which is awesome. Battery life seems to be pretty good. I haven't had any problems with it at all. It's lasted for me several hours on several hiking and fishing trips. Battery compartments down here. Right here we've got the turn on the Wi-Fi button, up, down, power, stop, start recording, micro SD slot, HDMI, and a USB. In case you're worried about not getting enough accessories, don't worry about that with the ELE. Not only do you get the waterproof case I mentioned earlier, but you get this box inside of the smartly packaged original box, absolutely chock full of different mounting options. There's of course the little frame if you want to use it without the waterproof case. There's tons of these different sort of angled mounts. There's a clip for the belt mount. There's the handlebar mount, popular with bikers. Plenty of accessories here, nothing to worry about. Let's take a look at the menu options under the settings on the ELE Explorer. Not only can you adjust the video resolution, and I've mentioned it shoots all the way up to 4K, although not truly usable, a very usable 2.7K, and then the awesome 1080p 60 frames per second, which I predominantly film in. You can record your sound. There's a time-lapse option, loop recording, and slow motion. You can choose what you want that at. Right now I have it at 720p, 120 frames per second. Going over to videos, from video to photo. Photo, it's going to be up to 16 megapixel, supposedly, with a 16 megapixel sensor. Haven't actually tested it out, but I have noticed the photo resolution is quite better than many of the other action cameras on the market today within this price range. There's a timer mode, an auto mode, and a drama shot mode. You can adjust the exposure here. You can adjust the white balance. You can do auto image rotation, turn the Wi-Fi on and off. Turn on the auto screensaver and auto shutdown. Now auto screensaver is useful so you don't drain the battery. It goes up to 30 seconds when you have it on. The auto shutdown is another feature to avoid draining the battery. You can set it at 1 minute, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. I wish there was like a 10-minute setting. I think some other cameras do have that, because I've been out fishing on the water more than 5 minutes when I needed the camera, and then I had to repower the camera back on. There's a time watermark. Do turn that off unless you, for some strange reason, like to have the date and time on all your photos and video. Change the language, set the date and time, format it, and we'll go ahead and get out of it. So plenty of options here. I do like how, I guess, clean the menu is, how easy it is to access, and how easy it is to change the settings without fiddling around too much. Like I mentioned earlier, there is an app for the ELE action camera. You can connect to it through Android or iOS. App worked perfectly fine for me, no issues. This does transmit a Wi-Fi signal, which your phone then syncs to using a generic password, which you can change, and you can take a look at your photos or video if you don't prefer the playback feature here, and adjust the settings and remotely operate the camera. As I mentioned earlier, the battery is compatible with the SJ4000 battery. This one is a 1050 lithium-ion mAh, as opposed to the, I think, 900s the SJ4000 uses, so you get a little bit more battery life to it. I was able to record for several hours on and off during a hiking and fishing trip without any problems. Overall, I could talk at length about the different type of image sensors and some of the technical specifications, but I think the important thing for someone who's just looking for a budget action camera is knowing how good the footage quality is it easy to use, does the battery last, and what filming modes do I have. So I mentioned this one can film all the way up to 4K, although it's not really usable, but 2.7K, which is very usable, and 1080p, which is excellent. I'm extremely impressed with the video quality and the photo quality that I'm getting on this camera. I'm going to show you a few sample shots here from some fishing, hiking, and some trips up to the snowy mountains here in Southern California at Mount Baldy, with some pretty high quality images for this little $64 camera. I'm also going to compare it to the SJ7000 and the EKEN H9, which I've showed in other videos. Both of those other cameras are very nice, very cheap budget action cameras. I think this one actually blows them out of the water and is so far the most nice option for a budget action camera in 2016. So once again, this is the ELE Explorer action camera. Let's take a look at some of the sample footage now. Alright, so let's take a little bit more of a detailed look at some of the footage we got from the ELE action camera. First one here, 1080p, 60 frames per second, taking a look at a delicious dinner over in Santa Ana that I enjoyed. We're going to switch it up now, take a look at the detail with the 2.7K 30 frames per second. Very usable frames per second. Actually, I think this looks quite a bit better. Always be careful not to hold this too close to whatever your object you're filming, just because of the focal length. It's kind of limited on these action cameras. And lastly, we've got 4K here, 15 frames per second. Definitely detail increases, but it's kind of choppy. 15 FPS isn't really a usable format. Next up, take a look at this night shot here. This is actually 30 minutes after sunset, no color correction done. Right's at 4K, left 2.7K. Really impressed with how dark shots actually come in. Really impressed just how much light is let in and allowing you to film even after sunset. This example, it really shows it off perfectly. Moving on over, another wonderful dinner we had. Top left 4K, bottom right is the 1080p 60 frames per second. Looks like the lighting is a little bit off here. It's kind of a difficult setting. Next up, take a look at this. This is the ELE versus the EKEN and the SJ7000. The SJ7000 actually comes out really well here, bottom right. I think it may be partly due to camera placement. They aren't exactly aligned. And ELE does well. EKEN's definitely the loser in this three. Next up, take a look at this sort of sped up action sequence of me fishing over at a local park. SJ7000, the sky colors are a little off here, although the ground colors look quite good. I think the ELE comes just a tad a bit ahead of these three cameras. The EKEN, once again, is definitely kind of the loser in this series. Last one, take a look at this absolutely beautiful shot I got of the pond that I was fishing at. Wonderful colors today, even though the fishing really wasn't that great, didn't catch anything. But you can see the image is quite sharp. Colors are fairly natural. Contrast may be just a tad high, and that may be why some of the image comparisons with Esha is a little different. Okay, going on to the next series of photo comparisons, we've got some photos here. These are unedited photos taken with the ELE action camera. You'll notice it loses some of the white at the top of the screen, where there's a sharp contrast with the sky. Not unusual for some of these cheaper action cameras. Although it really picks up the snow well, doesn't lose that much detail. I was pretty impressed with it. Here's a shot from the place I was fishing at earlier. Turned out pretty well. We'll compare it after this. The next photo will be the EKEN. See, it's kind of more whited out. And then right after this, we're going to have the SJ7000. And with that darn timestamp, I can't seem to get rid of on the SJ7000. I think the ELE definitely comes ahead. Lastly, one last photo, just from the same place we were dining out at in Santa Ana. Nice, crisp colors here. Alright guys, so that was the ELE action camera sample footage. As you notice, there's not a ton of fishing or bodyboarding, anything like that. There's just a few simple hikes and fishing trips I've taken recently. Even with that, I've been extremely impressed with the ELE. The video quality is among the highest I've seen for a budget action camera. The photo quality is also among the highest I've seen for a budget action camera. The price, you simply can't beat it right now because it does come with a waterproof case, which sets it ahead of the Xiaomi Yi. And the features are fantastic. So this is one I'm going to be using a lot. I highly recommend it. We'll see if 2016 has even more competitive budget action cameras out on the market, but so far this is definitely my favorite one. So once again guys, this is Isaac Walton for Hunting the River King, taking a look at the ELE Explorer action camera, available for just around $60 give or take online. Definitely one of the best action cameras at a budget rate that I've seen so far this year. Thanks for watching.